City Wrestling.
Oh yeah! Welcome everybody to another exciting edition of Grind City Wrestling. I am Dustin Starr. Welcome. Be sure to follow us on social media at Grind City Media. Take that subscribe button to Slap City wherever you're watching, especially right here on YouTube. Also, you can go check out the archives. We have interviews with wrestling's biggest stars. That's grindcitymedia.com/podcast. Last week, we shared our experience from being there live at Landers Center for AEW Collision, Rampage, and Ring of Honor. I sat front row. You got to go back and check that out. It was a whole lot of fun. Plus, we shared some pictures and videos that you've never seen before that we captured right there at Landers Center. But this week, we're going to talk about the best wrestling that we watched all week. And we were supposed to give our Mount Rushmore of Chris Jericho characters. More on that in just a second, but right now it's bell time. Introducing first my co-host, my tag team partner. He's a local business owner, and sometimes he's kind of a badass in the octagon. Ladies and gentlemen, E Rock, Eric McMahon. What's up, E?
What's up, my man? Just getting back in town. I was out of town for work all week and didn't get to watch a lot of wrestling, but I still love talking about it. So let's go.
I bet all the listeners love when you open the program and say, well, I didn't really get to watch a whole lot of wrestling, but that means funny. We're about to get some opinions.
It's funny, like once you have 3 kids and you're traveling for work and you're running a business and you're doing this, like what you need to prioritize. It's just,
Absolutely. That's when you're scrolling through the Twitter X and finding all the highlights and all that kind of stuff. Be sure to follow Eric on Twitter at E_MacLife. And I'm at Dustin Starr. Let's talk about that. So you've been out of town. I know that we're a little bit of a ways away from basketball season, but it is slowly creeping closer.
Man, it doesn't feel like it's slowly creeping. It feels like it's fast forward. I was in Orlando for an NBA entertainment conference. We had people from pretty much every team out there, and basically we just sit down, and these things you get so much out of it. It's like you just sit down, you ideate for like 2 days, 2.5, 3 days, and it's amazing some like gems that you got coming out of that, which come from some stupid idea. And you know what it's like. I mean, you're in the creative business. You just throw an idea at the wall and you end up with this product that you're like, where it started to where it went, it wasn't even the same idea, but it morphs into gold.
Yeah, and it depends on who you're talking to, too. If it's like me and you, or like, for instance, me and Simon pitching an idea about Memphis wrestling or something, it's the same thing. It's just basketball. It's game ops, storytelling, whatever it is. And I'll say, Simon, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then 30 minutes later, we're discussing on how we're going to execute the idea.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're like, but it wouldn't
keeps
be
spinning.
Dumb. But it wouldn't be dumb if you changed these words and you put this here, and to get into it, you did this. Now it's great. And then that's how it works.
In all transparency here, I am at the Memphis Wrestling Wrestle Center, and Reese the Beast is running around here in his police outfit. And he just went and found a tub of cotton candy, and he's standing on the other side of my computer holding it up like, can I eat this?
And yes, Reese. Yes, Reese.
He's living his best life, eating all the cotton candy and all that kind of stuff. All right, so anything cool that's coming up? Like, are we going to powerbomb somebody through a table? Is somebody diving off of a balcony or anything? What did you practice out there? Just getting it real quick.
You know what, one thing, I don't want to put any teasers out of the bag, but one thing I got help ideating on is how I can make wrestling night a little bit better. And we came up with some like ideas, and not from the match or who to book, but like the ambiance of it. And like the adding a new wrinkle to an old product that really just will make it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm here for it. I can't wait to hear all about it. Basketball season right around the corner. Doing some baseball coming up this weekend. All right, Devin is out. As you can see, he's not here on this podcast, and we were supposed to do.
Devin's been gone for like 2 weeks now.
He was at Summer League, man. What was he? Salt Lake City, and then he went to Las Vegas. He's been hanging out with the crew.
I think he's on is he flying back today?
I think he's on a plane right now, and we said, hey, this is the week we're supposed to do our Mount Rushmore of Chris Jericho characters. He's like, bro, you can't do that without me. That's my idea.
No, I know. Me and you just put laughing faces. All right. But
So
that'd
we
be
are
fun,
supposed to
man.
do that, and we are going to do that. So we'll hold that off till next week when Devin's here because that was his idea. Memphis Wrestling was live on Sunday at the Wrestle Center with Cowboy James Storm. There was a little bit of gossip that was going on last week's program, so maybe I could provide an update that especially you would be interested in. Plus, I've got some hits and misses from AEW and WWE and more. Plus, we do need to talk about the best wrestling that we watched all week. But first, we are getting so busy at Memphis Wrestling. The schedule is absolutely loaded. Check it out.
Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live this Thursday and Friday, July 25th and 26th. Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Kids Camp. Suitable for kids ages 5 to 15. Register now. Limited spots remain. Saturday, August 3rd is our next free watch party at Dave & Buster's. Watch WWE SummerSlam with us. It's free. Sunday, August 4th, don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live at the Wrestle Center. Thursday, August 8th, Memphis Wrestling is coming to the Benton County Fair in Camden, Tennessee. Saturday, August 10th, it's Rumble on the Trail Part 2 benefiting St. Jude, featuring Tommy Dreamer versus Psycho Simon in the first ever Pontotoc Street Fight. Friday, August 16th, Memphis Wrestling Tag Teams with the Clarksburg High School Volleyball Team for a huge fundraiser. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Welcome back. Get those tickets, memphiswrestling.tv. And I was just telling you while we were off air, August 4th is coming up. It's rapidly approaching. And, you know, August 3rd is SummerSlam. So we have our free watch party at Dave & Buster's. But it's getting very hard to confirm like a featured guest on the 4th because the 3rd is very much like WrestleMania. You know, like SummerSlam comes to town wherever they are and everybody's booked. This is huge.
Yeah. Well, you want to take one step further. August 2nd, the night before Friday night, your boy will be in the Professional Fight League cage on reffing on ESPN prime time. Check that out as well.
Very cool. I definitely will set my DVR if that's a thing. I've got YouTube TV. I could just record that bad boy. I will definitely check it out. All right. Best wrestling that we watched all week. I know you already said that you didn't watch a whole lot because you were out of town, but whatever you did watch, what was the best?
You know what? The one thing that I saw clips on, and here's where I think AEW does do a good job. And from even my son, when we were at Lander Center, he loved the crowd engagement and the call and response. And somebody who went to his first live event being AEW, outside of being a baby when I took him to WWE, he was able to pick it up and go along with it like right out the gates, which was awesome. But that little girl hitting MJF. When he hold MJF down and he told the little girl in the stands to hit him. Like I just thought that just made her a lifelong wrestling fan.
It did. Did you see the tweet?
No.
There was actually a tweet that said, yes, that was my kid that just punched MJF on television. So whoever the parents were of that kid, it was all over Twitter and it was going viral because their kid punched MJF, I think right in the stomach.
That dad is not the biggest Will Ospreay fan now, and that they're going to be AEW wrestling fans for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. So very, very cool thing. All right, best wrestling that I watched all week. I am going to go with Wyatt Six. Have you seen anything from the Wyatt Six?
I have, yeah.
And this is different, man.
Not this week, but yes.
It's very intriguing because it's also real. It's like they are literally using Bray Wyatt's death as a storyline, and everybody's cool with it, including me. I don't know that I'm really interested, like I told you, on the QR codes and trying to figure out all the clues to what's happening. That's not me. I'm not really in that. I'm just going to scroll through Twitter and see what's going on. I'm not going to, break the code, so to speak. So that's not really it. But for me, it's that these guys and gals are literally sitting down and talking about Bray Wyatt passing away, which is a real thing, like a real person. Like your best friend passes away, and now you're sitting down in front of a camera with millions of people watching, just kind of spilling your guts and crying. So we had Eric Rowan was on there this week, Bo Dallas, of course, last week. And man, it was like gut wrenching, but I'm wondering how they're getting through it. Just because it is so real. Like it is a wrestling storyline, but it's almost like so real that they're sitting down and talking about something that just happened last year.
Listen, here's the straight up fact, and this is why I do like it, and it's brought it. It's just the same story told a different way now, right? Wrestling has always imitated life and current events, always. You look at, we're going back to, the Iron Sheik and the Iran-Contra days, right? You're going back to Nikolai Volkov and any Russian character with the Cold War. We can spill that through all the way up into today, and now it's just a different rendition, and it imitates life. So that's what, in all
very
honesty,
close.
Very
close.
It makes that's what makes people connect as well.
You could literally get teary-eyed watching these guys talking on camera about Bray Wyatt. And then when you go online and you search through, not really search through, but just scrolling through Twitter and you start seeing it and seeing more stories, it's like, oh my gosh, this is still so fresh.
So are you
family's
from
all
the
cool with
point
it?
of like maybe it's too real?
No, actually, I'm a very strong believer that if the family feels like it's okay to do the storyline on television, then I feel like it's okay, because that's who you primarily do not want to offend. And if everybody's on board with it, and especially his brother and his father has come out and been very supportive of it too. I'm just saying it was really, really good stuff. Not necessarily for the wrestling storyline part of it, but it was just so real, them sitting down. I can't even imagine having to do it. But
and it humanizes characters though too, as well.
Very much so. Oh my gosh, you've got a 6'6", 6'7", near 400-pound guy sitting there with tears in his eyes talking about his best friend going away. Yeah, I mean, so it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward. But also, I got to put on my list, this is pretty much for Devin, Joe Hendry is all over NXT. And I don't know the ins and outs of these deals, Eric, but for TNA Wrestling to have one of their guys who was not even their champion. I mean, honestly, let's be quite frank here. He wasn't even really a top guy until a couple of months ago. And now he's appearing on NXT, and it's this huge deal. And there's rumors circulating about contracts of Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry. And of course, WWE wants them and stuff.
Let me ask you. Okay, let me ask you that. Now let's get into the business side of this, because this is where I love to talk, right? Listen, TNA, I'm even going to say AEW, they're not competitors of WWE.
They're really not.
But they are competitors of NXT. Right? So do you look at it from a standpoint of like, hey, now we're just kind of trolling TNA, with putting them on there. Like we took your guy, we're going to feature him on our platform that is equivalent to yours. And probably NXT is probably even higher than TNA, but they're still comparable in that aspect. I mean, do you think that's what there's the rivalry in TNA and, NXT on that level wise?
I don't know that there was ever really like a rivalry. I feel like it was AEW and NXT, but I do look at it like NXT is the developmental, right? And that's clear as day that they're the developmental. Why can't TNA guys and gals be developmental to go to WWE? They are, because they're not in WWE. So it's almost like NXT is using TNA as the developmental for the developmental that goes to WWE.
You know what?
What's the money look like for TNA? Eric, what does the money look like? I don't know anything about this, but I'm just thinking out loud. What does the money look like? Or is this like a viewership thing where if Joe Hendry gets so many millions of views, then TNA, they're going to benefit from that. So there's so many different revenue streams. I'm just curious as to how the deal was made.
Well, I can't really speak to, because I don't see, you can't peek behind the curtains, but you and I both know that the way people are consuming things is different these days. So I don't know the monetization through those things probably more than you do, but let's just say TNA or NXT, they get X amount of millions of hits per week. They don't have the big platform like WWE is network wise. But is it still it's obviously still viable. And so I don't know what the cross is there, but where there's smoke, there's fire to a degree, right?
Yes, and TNA Wrestling definitely has one of the best social networking platforms ever. Their YouTube is very strong. Their Facebook is very strong. I mean, millions and millions. If there's anything that TNA Wrestling has figured out, to me, it's their YouTube channel. So I can promise they're definitely monetizing this and benefiting from it. But I'm very curious as to what happens in the next 6 months, the next year. And also,
there's exclusivity with WWE. So,
when does AJ Styles appear on TNA Wrestling? When does Drew McIntyre appear on TNA Wrestling?
Never.
I was about to say, will we get that? Because that's helping out pretty astronomically for WWE to send those guys, over to TNA Wrestling.
Never. Listen, even if you're trying to help, you can't have your talent viewed as less than.
I agree 100%. A couple of other honorable mentions. All Ego Ethan Page is now the NXT champion, which I think is super cool. The guy jumps from AEW where, you've got to read and hear about the differences in the two, but now he is the NXT champion. Also, Chris Van Vliet, I've been talking about him for the last couple of weeks. If you have not listened to his interviews, I would definitely go and do it. His interview with Cody Rhodes is really good. Cody goes into detail about his AEW run and different thinking and
I'm gonna check that out
and all that stuff. It's very, very good stuff.
I keep on telling my son, he's like, hey, can we go meet Cody Rhodes again? And I'm like, dude, that was probably a once in a lifetime opportunity because I remember me and you recognized early on. I'm like, dude, this guy is a superstar. That's why we snapped those pics up when he came in. We had Cody Rhodes in studio.
Crazy with Brandy. You got to go check that out. grindcitymedia.com/podcast. You can see it in the archives. Cody Rhodes in studio with Brandy. And then also a lot of the conversation that took place off camera about ratings and how they view them and all that kind of stuff was really, really cool. Okay, so let's talk about some hits and misses real quick, and then we'll get out of here. WWE, AEW, I'm just going to throw them out there at you. You haven't watched a whole lot of wrestling the last week, and that's cool because you can still have an opinion on this. MJF, Will Ospreay, International Championship match went for 1 hour on Dynamite this week.
Too long.
And we have a new champion. I was going to ask, is that too long? Your roster is absolutely freaking loaded, and you took an hour of the program for a match that could be featured on pay-per-view. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree that the ratings have been down, so they're trying to bring them up, especially episode 250. But MJF, Will Ospreay, 1 hour. Is that too much on television today?
Yes, but but if they're going to push this along and start telling the stories, in my opinion, I think we can both agree with this. AEW hot shots a little bit too much their stories, right?
They even hot shotted the MJF heel turn. Like it all happened in 1 week instead of like a gradual.
So listen, if they can leverage this and get a lot out of it, then no, because then they set the foundation. But if it's in a month where we've moved on, then hell yes. I mean, even for a standalone, it is yes. But if they were to say we are laying the infrastructure and we know we're going to have to go through this to go through A to get to Z, then in the long scheme of things, no, it wasn't. Singularly, yes, and hopefully they do something like that because what makes WWE best in class is tell stories better than anybody. AEW not so much. Maybe they can use this moving forward.
I feel like we're leading to MJF versus Daniel Garcia for this international championship belt now because MJF won the title. Is Daniel Garcia ready for a high-profile match at Wembley against MJF for the championship that he probably should win over MJF at Wembley? Just given the storyline of being put out and, pile driven off the top rope and bloodied up, is that a big enough match for Wembley?
I think you put MJF is such a shit heel that he can make anybody at this point a good match. But again, whether you're going to get the investment into everybody, whether saying I want to see this match or I want to see MJF, those are two different questions. I think you put MJF anywhere. Like you heard the pop. MJF's a heel, right? But even when he came in just for a promo, man, the people hot for this guy. I love MJF. I think he's gold.
I wish they would stop flipping him though. Like he's just a heel. Just leave him be. If the fans cheer him, cool, but don't have him kissing babies and shaking hands. Okay, another hit or miss situation. I already know this one. Mami is back. Rhea Ripley returns to Monday Night Raw just in time to catch dirty ass Dom messing with Liv Morgan on the road to SummerSlam. Liv versus Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley is a superstar.
That music hit, and it was like Liv is on top of Dom about to kiss him. The music hits, and it's like, oh my God. And then, of course, we got the reenactment this week of Eddie Guerrero in China, where Dirty Dom is following Rhea Ripley all over, and she throws the flowers back at him. Really, really good stuff. You can see the tables have turned now.
What was the legitimate injury, like in that backstage? Like, what was the injury?
I think it was a shoulder.
Okay.
When she was slammed into the wall, I think it was a shoulder. Toni Storm and Mariah May, they're on their way to Wembley as well. Toni Storm bleeding all over the place. So we got Mariah May and Toni Storm. What do you think about it?
Toni Storm needs to ride this train, keep her on top as long as possible.
She's so good. So good.
I mean, listen, this is how good she is. Very rarely do I try and like get my wife invested in something wrestling-wise.
Yeah, I'm with you on this.
And so I said, babe, you need to like the presentation of this character. Whether you like wrestling or not, you can get invested in the presentation.
Right. You can be entertained by how, I don't want to say silly, like she's being silly, but the character and how she's acting is so good and kind of silly and tongue-in-cheek, but then also just, it's so good.
Yeah.
And she never stutters. She never or stutters or anything. She is performing.
Yeah. I mean, you need to keep that character as legitimate as possible for as long as possible. And then it can have a reincarnation of it somewhere down the line. She needs to stay on top.
Damian Priest versus Gunther, SummerSlam, World Heavyweight Championship match. This is the last one. Hit or miss? It's tough, right?
It's tough because you have to build those next stars. You have to
Gunther won the King of the Ring, and so that's why he automatically gets a shot, just like Nia Jax. She won the Queen of the Ring.
We've been talking about Gunther way back in the day when he was in NXT. Like, this guy is legit. He's fun. He's, and now he's in great shape.
Ass. He will beat your ass.
And it goes back to what we talked about just maybe earlier. It's like, no, is it a main? I know maybe Cody and Solo is going to be the main event. They're non-announced yet, right? But you have to bring these guys up to that level and perform in it's not a main event type match, in my opinion, for a SummerSlam, but you have to put it there to a degree for people to start looking at them as main event characters.
I'm going to put you on the spot right here. Damian Priest as the world champion. I know it's still early, but thumbs up or thumbs down on this run? Thumbs down. So
I think Gunther is more of a world champion.
It feels like that, and I mean this with all due respect, because when Chris Jericho first beat Rock, Stone Cold, and became the world champion, all that stuff, he was basically a transitional champion that you could take the belt off at any point. Now, of course, he grew into a bona fide main event star, and that's what Damian Priest is doing ever since he wrestled Bad Bunny and just climbed the ranks here. This feels like a transitional champion type of thing, while they're also trying to make him a bigger star at the same time.
And here's the way. I think image is everything, and I think the image of Damian Priest, like if it gets notched up a little bit, then now I'm just saying he's an unpolished rock right now.
I can agree with that. Also coming up this week, it is coming up actually next week, Thursday and Friday, Memphis Wrestling Kids Camp, and we have just a couple of spots available. Check this out.
Attention parents and kids, get ready for Memphis Wrestling Kids Camp, July 25th and 26th. Register now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Memphis Wrestling Kids Camp coming up on Thursday and Friday. A couple of spots remaining. You can go and register your child 5 to 15 years old at memphiswrestling.tv. TV. You heard all the big events, the fair shows and fundraisers that we have coming up. Plus, August the 4th is our next live television taping at the Memphis Wrestle Center. We had a packed house on Sunday. Cowboy James Storm came in and whooped some ass. And like you said last week, he saved the day. And I was going to ask you what you got going on this weekend, but I'm sure you want to know how Sunday went.
I want to know all the dirt. I've been texting you. What happened? What's this?
I sent you a picture. Did you see the picture?
Yeah, and I said, did he show? Dude, you want to talk about the drizzling? This is a wrestling term. The drizzling shits.
Bad. It was really
so
bad.
So I don't understand. And this is feeble-mindedness. You are willing to risk a high-profile show and all this for that?
You have to see. Can I put the picture up? Should I put the picture up on the screen?
Let's just say, hey, listen, if you're going to think about, no, let's not do that, right?
Terrible.
But let's paint the picture. If you're going to think about what a backyard wrestling event would look like, that's what it is. And worse than that. I mean, there was like a dumpster in the shot. In the shot.
Okay, so this guy actually tried to hold me up for money too.
I know.
I don't know if we said that last week. He is literally trying to hold me up for money.
Yeah,
I'm going public and I'm going to trash your business, is what he said. Anyways, we got through it and it was absolutely awesome, and we ended up better than what we were starting out with.
Yeah, Tony Storm's a bigger deal.
What you got going on this weekend?
What do I got going on this weekend? Holy smokes. I don't know, but next weekend I'm going out to Vegas to train with Big John McCarthy, the legendary referee. I'm heading out 3 days. I'm going to be training with him. You know, you ready? Let's get it on. I'm going to be training with him one-on-one.
Very, very cool. Be sure to snap a photo. That's all the time we have this week on Grind City Wrestling. I've got baseball all weekend, the 19th through the 21st. Of course, August 3rd, SummerSlam. August 4th is our next live TV taping. We are rocking and rolling. I am Dustin Starr. He's Rock Eric McMahon. And for Devin Walker, baby. Say it so long, everybody. You know, Too Cool 2 still does this. even though they're like 45.